Have you ever brought something home from the thrift store and then thought, what was I thinking? Yeah, I've been thrifting for over 40 years and I've definitely learned some lessons the hard way. So in today's video, I want to share 10 things I never buy anymore and what I look for instead. And I want to show you my recent thrift store finds and how I'm using them in my home. Because let's face it, some things are worth buying and some are not. Let's start in the kitchen aisle. I never buy used nonstick pots and pans, especially if they're scratched up. The coating can break down over time, and that means chemicals could be leaching into your food. Honestly, I've seen some skillets at Goodwill that were so nasty, I couldn't believe they even made it onto the shelf. But cast iron, totally different story. Even if it's rusty, you can clean it up, re-season it, and it'll last a lifetime. It's one of those things that actually gets better with age. And while I'm in the kitchen section, I always look for vintage china sets. They're usually beautifully made, full of character, and surprisingly affordable. I'd much rather buy a charming old plate than a mystery skillet. Now let me show you what I did thrift from the kitchen aisle. You're probably not surprised to learn that I did buy the traditional English transferware dish set. Hunting around the store, I was able to locate 20 pieces all together. These are Royal Mail fine Staffordshire ironstone, and when I did a little research, these plates are selling for almost $20 online, and I got them for 50 cents each. And I just love the design of them. They are so beautiful. You can't really see it on camera, but the edges are fluted. I'm hoping that my daughter-in-law loves them too, because she loves everything black and white. I also picked up this decorative plate to add to my strawberry dish collection. This was only 50 cents too. I almost never buy contemporary art, and honestly, I don't think you should either. It's usually mass-produced and printed on cheap materials. And while it might initially seem like a good deal, it usually doesn't add much character or value to your home. Plus, this kind of art tends to follow fast-moving trends, so it goes out of style quickly. Chances are within a few years, you'll be boxing it up and donating it right back to the thrift store. Instead, original art is one of the best hidden treasures you can find at a thrift store. Unlike mass-produced contemporary prints, original art is truly one of a kind. Even if the artist isn't famous, you're getting something unique that adds real character to your home. It also tends to hold or even increase in value over time, especially compared to cheaply printed canvases that were trendy for a moment, but start to feel dated within a few years. But original art is full of personality and makes your home feel layered and interesting. I was really attracted to this piece of artwork at the thrift store. I love a traditional still life, and this is a piece of stretched fabric. I don't know if it is a print on fabric or an original painting, but up close it really does look like a signed painting. And I couldn't find anything online about it, which makes me think that it's probably not a print. In either case, it is one of those unique pieces that really makes people want to take a closer look. Unlike that mass-produced art that you see in everybody's home. Wall mirrors are a better thrift store buy than contemporary art because they are both functional and timeless. You can often find well-made mirrors with quality frames for a
fraction of what they'd cost new. And unlike mass produced art prints, mirrors won't go out of style, and they work beautifully in any room. I thrifted this antique mirror for only $5. I'm guessing the Goodwill employees had no idea how old it was because it had unfortunately been painted baby blue. I decided to try removing the paint with a citrus paint stripper. I spread it thickly over the frame and covered it with a garbage bag. This keeps the paint remover from drying out too quickly on hot days. I waited a few hours and began to scrape off the paint. It was loose, but my putty knife just couldn't get into all the grooves. So instead, I grabbed an old nylon brush and began scrubbing it off. Once the brush was full of gunk, I dipped it in mineral spirits and wiped it off. Once most of the citrus strip was off, I dipped some extra fine steel wool into the mineral spirits and rubbed that over the frame. I didn't get all of it off, but I think it looks 100 times better. I was afraid if I applied a second coat of stripper, I might remove the original paint, which looks like some kind of gilding over black paint. I bet it was just stunning.
So those are just a few of the things that I think you should pass on at the thrift store and what I think you should buy instead. And while we're talking about things that are actually worth spending your money on, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Wild Grain. It's one of those rare purchases that actually lives up to the hype. Wild Grain is the first ever Bake from Frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, fresh pastas, and artisanal pastries, all made by small bakers and pasta makers from across the country. Everything comes frozen, ready to bake. No thawing, no prep. Just pop it in the oven and 25 minutes later, you are enjoying food that tastes fresh from the bakery.
And the best part, you can customize your box so you can try different things. They're always adding seasonal items, and they have a 100% plant-based box and many gluten-free options.
So if you want to try Wild Grain, use the link in the description box and my discount code to get $30 off your first subscription box and free croissants for life. So yes, in my opinion, Wild Grain is a great buy.
I always skip over cheap glass vases, the kind that florists use. They're everywhere, and thrift stores tend to price them higher than they're worth just because they're glass. However, you can usually find something with more personality, like a vintage ceramic vase or a piece of handcrafted pottery, for about the same price.
Look at this set of beautiful handcrafted pottery vases. They even have a potter's mark on them. And not only can I use them for flowers, but I noticed that the openings were quite small, and actually they are the perfect size for holding a taper candle. And these were only $1.99 each, the same price as most of those generic glass vases at the thrift store. I also thrifted this gorgeous cabbage leaf pitcher made in Portugal and for only $4.99. It does have a little chip on it, but I don't even care. It is going to make a gorgeous vase for summer flowers.
Do you ever see used Dollar Tree merchandise at the thrift store selling for more than the original $1.25 price? I do, and I just have to wonder who buys this stuff. Instead, spend your money on quality decorative pieces with real weight or patina, made from materials like brass, silver, or other metals. Metal pieces add instant warmth, texture, and character to your decor, Plus, they're usually solid and well made and will last a lifetime. They're also surprisingly affordable, especially compared to what similar pieces cost in retail stores today.
So I bought several metal items at the thrift. So I thrifted several metal items recently because I truly think that metal decor is one of the best buys at the thrift store. I picked up these silver plate candlesticks for $2.49 each. Even though they're not sterling silver, $2.49 for a silver plate candlestick is a great deal. And I picked up these other metal candlesticks, the large one for $2.99 and the smaller one for $1.99. They're heavy and these are great for DIYs. And of course, you know that I hardly ever pass on anything that is brass. This little bowl, $2.99, and I think it is just perfect to put a little plant in. I also picked up this wire basket. I just thought it was so unique. It was $5, so a little bit more expensive, but it's a good size. And it has a spike in there, so it was obviously intended to hold a pillar candle, but I think it will look super cute with a plant.
Even a cheaper metal item like this urn can easily be made to look like an antique. I like to use Modern Masters metal effects paint to create a rusty appearance. You just brush on 2 coats of the terracotta colored primer, followed by 2 coats of the iron paint. Once the iron paint is dry, spritz it with the rust activator. Wait 5 minutes and spritz it a second time. You'll end up with a rusty coating that has lots of texture and color variation that make newer items look really old. You may not realize this, but plastic can break down over time, leaching harmful chemicals, especially when heated or frozen. It might also harbor bacteria in damaged areas, scratches, or cloudy areas, making it potentially unsafe for food storage. This thrift store is asking 99 cents for a plastic carryout container that is made from low grade plastic and is not safe for repeated use. Plastic containers often look cheap and don't blend well with most home decor. Instead, opt for containers made with natural materials like wicker or wood that are more durable and way more attractive than plastic. Wicker also adds texture, warmth, and charm to any room, and even the worn ones have character that only gets better with age.
Finding good wicker baskets at the thrift store is getting harder, I think because wicker is pretty popular right now, and so more people are buying it than in the past. But I was able to find this adorable little basket, and I bought it because it's a perfect little square, and I just don't know that I've ever seen a square basket like this before.
Real wood items are usually well made and hold up over time. They can be refinished, painted, or stained to match your style. And like wicker, they add warmth and texture to your decor. And surprisingly, wood pieces often cost the same or even less than new plastic decor from big box stores.
So I did buy the little wood salt and pepper set. I just thought it was adorable. I noticed it said made in Japan on the bottom, so likely these are from the 60s or 70s, but they are still in perfect condition.
I never bother with used CDs and DVDs. I just don't want to give up valuable space to store them. Most of the time, you can stream the same music and movies online for free. Unless it's something truly rare or nostalgic, I think you're better off putting your money towards something you'll actually use. I think books are a much better buy than CDs and DVDs because they don't become obsolete and they add charm and character to your home. Look how pretty these vintage books are. Whether you're reading them or using them to style a bookshelf, books have lasting value, and many thrift stores sell them for just $1 or $2.
You guys know I love vintage books and I have them in almost every room of my house. And normally, if they come with a dust cover, I take it off. But recently, I have been finding a few vintage books that have these beautiful mid-century dust covers that are in great condition, like the two that I thrifted this week. I love the look of the vintage graphics, and I especially love that they are in muted colors, not the bright in-your-face colors that you see on books today. Look at this beautiful cover that goes from the front of the book to the back. That is so pretty. I would even frame that and use it as art.
I'm not a fan of buying used kitchen appliances. You usually only have a week to return them if the store accepts returns, and I'm terrible about getting things back in time. Plus, appliances might be missing parts or they may not even meet today's safety standards. Remember, there's a reason why it was donated. When it comes to electrical devices, lamps are a much smarter buy. They're easier to test, clean, and update. A little paint, polish, or a new shade can completely transform a lamp. Even if it needs rewiring, that is an inexpensive repair that you can do yourself. Trendy items might seem like a fun find, but they often go out of style just as quickly as they came in, leaving you with decor that already feels dated. These pieces are usually mass-produced, poorly made, and priced higher than they're worth. One look around the thrift store and it's obvious that word signs are not even trending anymore. Instead, look for antiques, classic pieces, and one-of-a-kind decor that works with your style and won't feel tired in a year or two. I spotted some unique china and dishware, but my best find had to be this Art Nouveau bust. It has some damage, but seriously, who cares? Look how gorgeous she is.
And my favorite thing to thrift are those one-of-a-kind items that when you see it, you know you have to have it because you've never seen it before and you'll probably never see it again. And I got lucky and I found 3 items that I really loved this week. The first thing was this adorable duck sugar bowl. It at one time had a lid that is now missing. I'm sure that's probably why it was donated to Goodwill to begin with. But you know what I'm thinking. A little plant in here is going to look so adorable. And the next item is this mid-century Avon perfume bottle. It was $2.99. It says on the bottom, Emerald Bud Vase. So the plan was that when you used up the cologne, you took the lid out and then you would have a vase to use. I have a very small vintage perfume bottle collection, but I don't have an emerald green one, so I had to have it. And here is my favorite find of 2025, this Art Nouveau bust. I was shopping at Goodwill when they brought out a new cart of merchandise, and I saw her from a distance on the top of the cart. And you know, I made a dart for that cart to get her before someone else did. And I've done a little research on her. She's not as valuable as I thought she might be because she does not have a maker's mark. She only just has a number on the back, 437. She does have a lot of chipping and damage, which don't bother me at all, but I realize that if I would ever try to resell her, which I won't, but if I did, I understand that that does bother a lot of people and takes down the value quite a bit. It looks like that she is made of plaster, but she could be made from chalk. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure where I'm going to put her, but you know that I will find a spot somewhere.
Stained upholstery can harbor allergens and bacteria, and stains may be difficult or impossible to remove. So, unless you're planning to reupholster, the risk and cost of thorough cleaning often outweighs the savings you get from buying furniture at the thrift store. However, I'm not totally against buying textiles. Throw pillows, fragment remnants, and blankets can all be thrown into the washing machine. And since they're relatively inexpensive, if the stains don't come out, at least you've only invested a few dollars. I'm also willing to risk a few dollars on fabric lampshades because they usually clean up really well, and prices for new shades are ridiculous.
I picked up a few textiles, including this textural green pillow. It does say on the tag, spot clean only, but I'm going to throw it in the washing machine anyway, and if it gets ruined, I'm only out $3. And of course, I had to pick up this little Victorian style lampshade. It does have a few stains on it, but I'm going to use some spray cleaner on that, and I bet those spots come right out.
I just used a little upholstery cleaner sprayed on a clean white cloth, and it looks almost new.
And finally, I picked up this vintage piece of wool plaid fabric. I'm probably going to turn this into a couple of pillows to use at Christmas time, but I'm not sure yet.
Particle board furniture might look like a bargain at first, but it is not built to last, especially if it's already been assembled, moved, or exposed to moisture. It chips, warps, and sags easily, and once it's damaged, there's not much you can do to fix it. Although this chest of drawers looks like it's in great shape, I promise you these particle board drawers are going to be sagging and falling apart in no time at all. On the other hand, solid wood furniture is a smart investment, even if it costs more upfront. Solid wood is far more durable, repairable, and long-lasting. It can be sanded, stained, painted, or refinished multiple times. And if it's well cared for, its value will likely increase over time. I ended up thrifting this large wall shelf. For $5, I couldn't pass it up. It's solid wood and has way more character than anything I could have bought new. Because it is somewhat heavy, I made sure to attach it to the studs in the wall using 3 wood screws through the pre-drilled holes in the shelf. I attached the middle screw first and then made sure the shelf was level before I added the remaining 2 screws. I styled the shelves using new and old thrift store finds, including the rusty urn and pottery vases. I certainly didn't expect to use the duck sugar bowl in the bathroom, but I think it looks so cute. In fact, I think I might use it to hold Q-tips. Do you think it's weird that I put books in the bathroom? I hope you found today's video helpful. I'd love to hear what your best or worst thrift store buy has been. So let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to purchase some of my vintage finds, you can check them out on my online store, CanterburyCottageShop.com. Thanks so very much for watching today. Hope to see you next week.